All right, welcome everyone. Today we're going to do something a little different. We're not just looking at a story, we're actually stepping right inside one. It's a fairy tale about a land where even light itself can cast a long, mysterious shadow. So, let's dive in.
So our story starts, like all the best ones do. Once upon a time. Picture this, a place so beautiful that even the shadows of the clouds seem to shine. A land surrounded by 41 rivers. But as you can probably guess, even the brightest places can fall into darkness.
And that's exactly where we start our first chapter. We're going to see how this incredible kingdom, the Land of Light, ended up under this heavy, dark cloud of cruelty. Okay, so the kingdom's problems, they all started with the king getting old. He had 3 sons and one really kind-hearted daughter named Lyra. But the moment the king got sick, his weakness was like blood in the water for his sons. They immediately started fighting each other for the throne.
And guess who won? Ravos, the oldest and most ambitious son. He just seized power. And let me tell you, his rule was, well, it was awful. The second he took over, he slammed his people with these crushing taxes, forced them into brutal, long hours of work, and basically left them with nothing to eat. And if you dared to say anything, you were exiled, just like that.
But Ravos' cruelty didn't just stop with his people. Oh no, he actually imprisoned his own sick father and his sister, Princess Lyra. He locked them away in this remote tower, and to make sure they were totally cut off, he surrounded it with a moat filled with crocodiles and stuck giant guards at the door. I mean, escape? It looked absolutely impossible.
But you know how these stories go. Even in the coldest, most impossible places, a little spark of hope can ignite. So let's get into our next part and see just how that spark appeared way up in that high tower.
So one night, Lyra, just completely heartbroken, turns to her dad and asks this question that's just eating away at her. Why are we here? What did we possibly do? It's such a simple question, right? But his answer, wow, it gets to the absolute core of everything that went wrong with the kingdom.
And this is what's just so powerful. The old king, he confesses his biggest mistake. He says, look, I gave them everything they could want, a palace, wealth, power, but I forgot to give them love. He realized he never planted those seeds of kindness in their hearts. And without that, well, greed just took over.
And then he gives her this piece of advice that basically becomes her guiding light. He tells her, protect your pure heart, my daughter, because goodness, it will find a way. He's sure of it. And wouldn't you know it, the way for that goodness to appear was, well, it was pure magic, something nobody could have seen coming. Which brings us right to the discovery of a mysterious dragon's egg.
So, how did she find it? It was a total accident. Lyra was crushing up some herbs for her dad, and one of the stones she was using just slipped into a hidden hole in the floor. So she reaches in to get it, and her hand brushes against something big and smooth. She's curious, of course, so she pulls it out and, yep, a mysterious giant egg.
And the king's reaction here is just amazing. He doesn't even ask where it came from. He just looks at it and calls it a miracle of her good heart. He's convinced it appeared because of her goodness, and he tells her to take care of it. So she does. She treats it like a dear friend. Then, one night, Lyra's holding the egg close to keep it warm, and it starts to crack. And out comes, not a bird, but a tiny, friendly little dragon. It had this fiery tail and eyes that sparkled like diamonds. In the loneliest place you can imagine, a true friend was born. Okay, this little dragon showing up, it's a huge turning point in the story, a real game changer. As her new friend gets bigger and stronger every single day, you can just feel it. Lyra's destiny is about to change, which takes us to the flight to freedom.
But before she can escape, something really sad happens. One morning, her father, he just can't hold on any longer, and he passes away. Lyra is just consumed by grief, the kind of sadness that could absolutely break a person. But sometimes, grief can make you stronger, right? It's like a forge. And by that night, her sorrow had been transformed into this incredible, unbreakable courage.
The dragon sees her pain, and it spreads its wings. Lyra climbs onto its back, and she knows what she has to do. She says, for my people, for my father, I must go. And just like that, they take off, soaring away from that tower. They're finally free.
So now we're at the climax of the story, and here's the thing.
Lyra doesn't just fly away to save herself. No, she flies straight to the palace. She's going to confront her brother. This is the moment of the king's awakening.
You can imagine Ravos is totally shocked to see her. He immediately threatens her, you will be destroyed. But Lyra doesn't fight back with threats. Instead, she says something incredible. She tells him, I didn't come here to fight you, I came to make you fight with yourself. Her challenge is actually pretty simple. Go out there, see the pain of your people with your own eyes, and then decide.
And surprisingly, he's intrigued. So Ravos puts on a disguise and walks through the kingdom with Lyra. And for the very first time, he sees the truth of his reign. The market stalls, empty. People are literally fighting over rotten fruit. He sees kids playing in the mud wearing torn clothes, the sick begging for help, entire families left homeless. The reality of what he's done just hits him like a ton of bricks.
That horrifying moment of truth, that's the catalyst for the story's really beautiful ending. So let's get to our final chapter, The Ruler Who Shared.
When they get back to the palace, Lyra shares one last piece of their father's wisdom. She reminds Ravos, our father used to say, if you do not share your power, you will be exhausted. Goodness multiplies when shared. And that simple idea, it finally breaks through all that pride and cruelty.
And Ravos' change isn't just words, it's total. He doesn't just say sorry, he gets to work. He shares his entire fortune with the people. He lowers taxes, rebuilds homes, opens new schools for the kids, and step by step, through these actions, the Land of Light is slowly but surely brought back to life.
And so, the story leaves us with this powerful idea, almost like a whisper on the wind in that restored kingdom. True sovereignty, real power, isn't about what you can hold on to. It's about what you have the courage to share. Now, it's a lesson from a fairy tale, sure, but it leaves us with a pretty real question, doesn't it? What power do we have, and are we brave enough to share it?